bassoon, they leave me alone. And when you're talking 12, 13, 14 years old, that's perfect for a kid. Because, your parents will stay off your back. I'm not getting any, I never got into major trouble when I was adolescent, which was good. But, it just was good.
I feel like we need to release this as a PSA for parents. It's like, if you're worried about your child getting in trouble,
get them an instrument.
Give them a bassoon.
Hi everyone, welcome to OSA Backstage. I'm Dani Meyer, and on today's episode, Serena and I are talking with Principal Bassoon Jim Compton. This was awesome, guys. This was, okay, so usually when we title an episode, it's something, well, I think it's funny. You can disagree with me on that. I tend to pick things from random moments in the episode that just speak to something fun. And in this case, the title of the episode is absolutely the overarching theme, trust the process. You guys are going to get that immediately with Jim. Jim is also one of our featured soloists from Mozart's Sinfonia Concertante in April. Absolutely thrilled to get to hear him in that solo quartet concerto grosso feeling in the middle of the orchestra for that symphony Jocelyn. So, guys, you're in for a treat. Enjoy. Hi, hello.
Hello. Hey, guys.
Would you please introduce yourself?
I'm James Compton, principal bassoonist with the Almost Symphony.
Amazing.
So,
thank you so much for doing this. This is going to be
welcome.
Fun.
Yeah, go ahead and record it. You're recording, I take it?
I'll record it.
You're going to cut it all out, edit it out. That's what I figured. Good.
I think we only edit unless we say something truly egregious. And so
far,
I
figure if I let something slip, you'll cut it out.
Just flag it.
Because it's kind of the way, they slip out. I'm of an older.
I think when you get tired enough, the filter just completely goes.
I'm doing good for a guy my age.
Yeah?
With the changes in the world and the filters.
Well,
it's way different than when I was a kid. And
So we have to ask.
Yeah.
Where did music start then?
For me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm from Long Beach, California. In Southern California, it's outside of Los Angeles. And, my first real memories of music are cartoons. The music always spoke to me. I don't know why. It just did. And then I started, and everybody in my family played an instrument, but nobody really pursued it. But all my sisters played instruments, and they're a lot older than me.
So what instruments out of curiosity?
One sister played flute, one played violin, one played clarinet. My youngest sister is 7 years older than me, played violin.
Okay.
And so I started on clarinet. World's worst clarinet player. Silver lamp clarinet, one of those one piece that's more like a soprano sax, or it's more of a weapon than an instrument. So I started on that.
How old were you?
10.
Okay.
Was this in band?
Yeah,
through school?
Elementary school band. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't take much piano lessons or anything, but so I started on that, and then I get to junior high, and unbeknownst to me, my junior high band director called my mom up and said, the clarinet's not really happening for this kid. I know. And he goes, I'd like to try him on the bassoon. But he goes, there's more commitment involved because bassoon's kind of complicated. And he goes, I don't know that much about it. Most band directors don't have a really broad bassoon base. So he goes, is it okay with you? There's going to be more family commitment on your part. Like he's going to need lessons and stuff like that. She goes, yeah, sure. Anything to keep him interested in music. Because at that point in my life, I was thinking, sidebars. My father was a machinist when I was really young. I don't remember this, but I just heard about it. I basically grew up in a machine shop as a little kid because my mom worked there in the office, so I'd sit in the corner and play blocks all day. This is before cognitive memory and everything. So at that point in my life, I was thinking I'd be a civil engineer or something like that. I wanted to build bridges or design things like that. And so the bassoon gives me, so back to this, because this is all kind of interrelated, big picture, I think. My bassoon teacher, my band director gives me a bassoon, a reed, a book, and a phone number, and sends me off to a practice room. There you go. Here's your bassoon, here's your reed, here's a book, here's a phone number of a teacher. That's as far as I can go. So I get the book out, I look at the picture of the bassoon, I look at the instrument. It took me like a half hour to figure out how to put it together. Because you look at the picture and you look at all these pieces, how's it go together?
Sorry, I'm still stuck on like your teacher, like clarinet's not working. Let's give him this vastly more complicated thing that I don't know how it works, but someone's got to do it. Right. So it might as well be you. Okay, so half an hour later,
I finally get it together and I figured out a little bit. I take it home. Next day I come to school with the bassoon, no clarinet. He goes, you realize we have a test today on B flat major scale? And I go, yeah, I'm playing it on the bassoon. So after one day on the bassoon, I was better than 3 years on the clarinet. I played my scale and he was like, it just clicked in that sense. And I think part of it is bassoon is the fingerings. I like those kind of hands things.
Okay.
I think that was part of the initial appeal because I wasn't like this majorly, some people have this amazing amount of talent in me. I just grew up in this real old school, hardworking family kind of environment. And, but I liked it. And I never touched a clarinet since, really. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you just, it was like, okay, I guess this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Well, then I started really liking it. And they had, my junior high program was very unique and it's fantastic. The teacher, we would do all our major minor scales. Every day we'd have a rhythmic, he'd go through in the band, hold up a flashcard, what's the rhythm, one and, whatever, rhythmic. He did this every day, and we'd have scale tests. And like, you'd have the big scale test where he'd record, you'd have to go in the practice room and record all your scales. Yeah. And he played mine for the class one year because he goes, this is what I'm looking for. I mean, this was like an 8th grade after a while, and I know it was like, junior high level, but I figured out all my, so that, because it was very interesting to me.
But like, what an awesome moment for you, because I think so many people would say that like if it's not working with one instrument,
why is it going to work with another one?
Why is it going to work?
That's way different. Yeah. But it did.
Okay, so you're junior
and it was
high.
A plastic reed too. That first reed was a plastic reed.
Oh no. Okay.
We're not talking high quality. I mean, none of this was, but the fact that like because I auditioned for, they had all city orchestra, and I auditioned for that, and I went and played for the guy. Played like 3 octave C scale, and he says, yeah, great, you're in. It's like, okay, and then he ran a music camp, so I went to music camp all summer after that. I'd be going to his camp all summer. It was really fun.
So what did your parents think at this point?
Well, they were happy. They knew nothing about it. They weren't very musical. And my dad's idea of music was this like music he'd play in the shop, this canned music. That was, and my parents were quite a bit older. They were more like World War II and Depression era people. So big band and all that was their thing. Because I remember them going out. I grew up not too far from Disneyland. They go to Disneyland to hear Les Brown or some of these old big bands that were still touring and stuff. But so as far as the bassoon, they knew nothing, which was great because I could go, and that was, I think, part of why it went the way it went for me was I could come home, go in my room, shut the door. If I was playing the bassoon, they'd leave me alone. And when you're talking 12, 13, 14 years old, that's perfect for a kid because your parents will stay off your back. I'm not getting any. I never got into major trouble when I was adolescent. Which was good, but it just was good.
I feel like we need to release this as a PSA for parents. It's like, if you're worried about your child getting into trouble,
get them an instrument.
Give them a bassoon.
Yeah. So I could avoid, it was, it was, so I could just shut the world out. And I realized like a concert player, Karen, she said to me, you like the process. I like the practicing. And the rehearsals, I'm not a big, I don't Jones to perform like some players do. I like the process. And with everything I do, not just the bassoon. If I'm building making something, I like the steps to get there. Yeah. I'm really into the process of things.
Okay, that's fascinating. We were going to talk about the fact that you repair and renovate.
Oh yeah, I like to build stuff. That phone number for the bassoon teacher that I got. Bill Waterlow, he was a realtor. So at like 12, I was,
He was a realtor.
he was a realtor. So
Yeah.
I'd go repair and paint the houses he was selling at 12 in trade for lessons. I was doing that stuff. I mean, this all goes hand. That's like I say, growing up in the shop and building.
Yeah.
This all goes, and then for bassoon lessons, I paint fence, whatever, this fence needs working on in this house. I go repair stuff for him, simple stuff. If it was major, yeah, I hired the big guys, because I was just a dumb kid.
Yeah, you're 13. You can handle a bucket of paint, but you can't do plumbing.
But that came later when I was working a summer job piping and boilers and heaters for efficiency ratings, which you'd have a rack of 50 water heaters and I'd have to hook them all together so they could run them.
Yeah.
That was fun. But that's the kind of stuff I liked to do.
So when did you? Okay, so you love the process.
Yeah.
You're using it as like, this is my alone time, just me and my buddy the bassoon.
Yeah.
You're trading manual labor for lessons.
Mm-hmm.
When did you? Was it a conscious decision, like I'm going to go to school for music, or?
Yeah, there was a point. We traveled cross country. I don't remember when it was. It was around when Nixon got in trouble. I remember that much because I think we went up to Montreal on this cross country trip in the truck with the camper on the back, and I was riding up in the cab the whole cross country and. So they were all down in the cab, and we didn't have them. So I was away from everybody up there, and I listened to the radio all the time, to classical music, and that was all summer. And that's when I was like, I think I'm going to go for this. That's where it really turned. I was probably 13, 14.
Were you already playing?
I just remember going to Montreal because my sister was with us, and she was in the military. She wasn't supposed to leave the country, and then all this stuff hit the fan with Nixon, and she's like, "We got to get out of here before I get caught."
Get across the border.
Yeah, get back across the border.
You said you were listening to classical music, so
yeah.
So was it the bassoon that led you to playing classical pieces that led you to listening, or was it?
Well, in junior high, this teacher, we had the band, and then then he took he had this other class that he asked me to be in. And it was called Instrumental Ensemble. And it was like first period every day. Basically, it was like 25 kids. And it was a chamber orchestra. Like violins. And if we didn't have oboes, we usually did trumpets. You should always have oboes and everything. But so, like 3 days a week, we were a chamber orchestra and we'd play movements. And we played real pieces, like a movement from a Beethoven 1 or stuff. We didn't do a lot of arrangements. Because it was a special class. It was great. Or we did the water music, and that's it, and we did a lot of Baroque stuff, and Baroque's one of my favorite things to play. And we did that, and then the other half of the week we were a jazz band. So he handed me a tenor sax, said, "You're playing this tomorrow in jazz band." Okay, fine. And I tried to take a couple sax lessons, and the teacher said, "Nah. When I go out of the room and I hear you play saxophone, it sounds like a bassoon." So you might as well so I played sax in the jazz band, tenor and then bari, but it wasn't my thing. But the saxophone, the basic premise of playing a saxophone is rather simple. You can pick it up and the fingerings are pretty simple. Yeah, I could do it good enough for junior high jazz. And I played it a little in high school, like if the marching band needed an extra sax player. So I wasn't in marching band, but sometimes I'd march and stuff. For fun, I'd march with saxophone, so I could go to Disneyland for free with everybody, that kind of thing.
Were you ever tempted to say, like, I'll just march with my bassoon?
Yeah, no.
No?
No, I never thought it. I never even crossed my mind. Because I figured, not only would the mouth thing bounce around, I figured you'd never get heard bassoon out, so I just dissipate, so it's not very loud.
That's, okay, I want to put a pin in that, because in the hall, there's so many bassoon solos. There's just like... And I love it. It's like that there's a billion points where you just have to be above everything else that's happening. And so I want to come back to that, like how you project
that. Okay, well, my bassoon teacher in high school and college is a very famous teacher named Norman Hertzberg.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, he was I started with him in 10th grade. And he was my bassoon. That was my bassoon teacher in high school and college. And but he always said, the bassoon is in the lettuce range. If you take a sandwich, you got the bones and the meat. The bassoon's dead center, and it gets eaten up really quick, but it just gets swallowed. The sound gets swallowed up because our range is right in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah, we call it the lettuce range. And he goes, on all the solos, where all the solos are written in this one basic octave, he calls that the money register.
Yeah, right, because it's probably the one register
That's
that
the one
can actually
everybody
pop out.
Yeah, no, it's the tenor register, which is a little softer. Right? The lower you go, the higher you go, the instrument naturally gets softer. So you got to kind of counterbalance when you blow it.
Okay.
Because the low notes, by nature, are the loudest.
This is blowing my mind.
By nature, because so when you play, you got to kind of think you're blowing harder to keep it even.
Okay. I'm thinking of string instruments where it's so much harder to project. The lower you go, it's so much harder to.
Flute is the same.
Okay.
Yeah, but bassoon, the low notes pop more. They're just louder by nature.
They're easier. They're easier to, because of the function of the instrument.
I guess, yeah.
How did you start studying with Hertzberg?
How did I find out about that? I can't remember how I got his phone number.
Because
it might have been, I was in like 10th grade, and a conductor at our local community, Long Beach Community College, Mr. Paponi, who used to teach at the high school I was at, Millington. We would go play a lot for him. And he would come to the music camp, like I said, ended up getting scholarships every summer to go for free because they liked me. And I loved going. It was up in the mountains, and outside of Los Angeles, up in San Bernardino Mountains. You're living in cabins and playing all summer. And your friends, all these friends, it's just really wonderful to do. And then you didn't have to be home going to work in your dad's shop on the weekends or anything like that, too.
Right.
Yeah, because when I got like that, like we're talking about, when I was 12, 13, I'd have to go work for him too. And I did not want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted me to be a machinist because he said, you're not college material. And academically, I did fine, but I'm not a real academic type personality. I can say 3 words and you know that. I'm not a book, and I'm not a very good writer. I'm not illiterate or anything, but I don't write well. I don't read well.
I would also say the like academic means different things to different people.
Yeah.
Right? So like anyone who goes to college for music, it's like, yes, now there's, I don't know what it was like when you were going. Now there's a lot of requirements for writing and studying and everything like that. But I also think there are some conservatories where it's like, no, you're here to play.
Well, that's the kind of schools I went to. We didn't. I had to take when I went to Southern Cal. That's where Hertzberg taught. I had to take one class outside of music every semester, and I ended up taking a lot of art history, a lot of math at first till I hit the wall. And then I hit like calculus, and I went with all these engineering majors, and I floundered, and the teacher's like, why are you in this class? And I thought the one before it was so easy, I could do the homework during class. And now he goes, okay. And I got out of there, and then I did art history.
Okay.
And the writing was the hardest part. But yeah, I didn't go to a school where you had to write any papers or anything.
But that's still college. Like, I think that's interesting. Like it was
all bassoon, theory, history,
right?
Ear training.
Exactly, and that's when we think like, okay, my college material, it's like, well, really, what do you want to study? Mm-hmm. Because if you're interested in what you need to study, then you can be college material. But we're asking about Hertzberg because, Jim, I don't know if you know this. So it's not on the outline, but you're kind of a legend. Enough of a legend that Serena's friend actually. This is the first time this has ever happened. But we have a message that we're going to play about
it's just
Hertzberg.
A question.
It's a question
for you
that we want to play live, so that because
I'm game.
This is awesome.
Hey, I'm driving right now, so I'm sending this to you as a voice memo. I've thought about it, and I would most like you to ask him about Hertzberg and his experience studying with him. So I would say something along the lines of, for those here who do not know about bassoon history, Jim's teacher, Norman Hertzberg, had one of the largest impacts on the style of bassoon playing in America, and had the largest amount of students in full-time professional orchestras at one point in time. And perhaps don't say this part, or do, I don't know. but Jim is one of the last Hertzberg students still playing in a full-time orchestra. Specifically, I think it's like Jim and two others, Bill Buckman in Chicago and Seth Krimsky in Seattle. But yeah, just ask him what his experience was studying with Hertzberg, and if there's any specific things he remembers and what he took out of it, and if there's anything specifically that he carries with him today.
Here you go.
That's a good question. And it's, and this is more broad right now than Hertzberg. I grew up with old school. I don't know if you understand what that means. My father was old school. Most of my mentors growing up were old school people. They weren't nice. Learn to duck. If they yell at you, stuff will come hurling at you. Your parentage might come up. It's different than today. That's why I'm prefacing it, because Hertzberg, he was very old school. You drill, practice. He was very adamant about that. That's what people, I think why he was so good. You got to do your fundamental. He has all these scale patterns. His father-in-law, Simon Kovar, was in the New York Philharmonic, and that was his father-in-law. And if bassoon players look at, edited by Simon Kovar, yeah. So he was an old Russian. So I think he was even more extreme than those guys. And so he was very, very stern. That's the perfect word for it. He's a very stern teacher. Like my first teacher used to hold a knife over your leg so you wouldn't make mistakes. My junior high teacher, that kind of, it's not going to hurt you. He's holding it like right there. It's like, pick you up. But, it was an intimidation factor. And so Hertzberg was really into, do your long tones, your scales, your intervals, your melody scales, your PR. Do your fundamentals and practice really hard and break down your practicing. Use your scale pattern. You have a technical passage. Use your scale patterns to change articulations, change your rhythms. He was just really drill. I think that was his secret. Was he just was so drill?
So
does that make sense?
Yeah, there's nothing so hard that you can't break it down to its fundamental.
But you got to break it down.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're not going to learn it at speed.
That's my teacher. I would consider my teacher the kind version of that. But he called it the catechism. And so it was like there was no passage that you couldn't reduce to just notes, and then just rhythms, and then just the strings that it's on, and then just the bowing patterns, and then you could start to put it back together. But there was a metronome, and then you one click at a time, bring it back up.
Exactly the same thing. And I think and he was really stressed doing etudes. Like when I studied with him, you didn't study it. You did some excerpts, but that wasn't the formal part of your lessons. It was all this other stuff. It was how to play the bassoon as opposed to playing the music. Just I want to play this solo. No, it's how are you going to play the bassoon?
So first. with you loving the process, you loving building things.
That just clicked with me.
I was going to say, was that like a natural fit?
Yeah, because I remember the first lesson, he gave me some new fingers for high D and high E flat and stuff. And I told this to Nick, our other bassoon player, and he's like, "That's your first lesson when you're 14? Yeah. And then he gave me his scale patterns. He has the people, I've seen him on sheets right now. He didn't write stuff out either. I had this old piece of this old typing onion paper with his little writing on. Here's the first pattern. There's 4 notes in a rhythm. And then he explained it to you. And I came in the next lesson and I played for him. He goes, wow, I never had anybody pick up on those so quick. Because it just covers the whole range of the instruments. This is a big circle. Yeah. You make a big circle out of it, but you start on the lowest note possible and go to the highest note possible. You don't start on the tonics.
Right.
So, and they were fun. They're really good for getting around.
I'm pretty sure Hal Robinson, former principal of Philly, I don't know if he knew Hertzberg or what, but he totally stole that idea for his.
Well, I'm sure, and I think he got it from Kovar, maybe.
Yeah.
His father-in-law.
Yeah.
But he taught so many people that I think that's why it's attributed to him.
So was he Where did you study with him at college?
Southern Cal.
Southern Cal. So was he primarily there for his whole like teaching career, or
Yeah.
Okay.
As far that's because he moved there. I think after the war to Los Angeles to do studio work,
Mm-hmm.
and then he taught at USC.
Wow.
And he was an adjunct. Like he wasn't a. He just came and taught the bassoon lessons and did a master class. That's it.
And yet his students like
Yeah.
Okay, so did USC kind of become like? Did you know what you were?
It was
getting?
more of a conservatory. Yeah, I mean, because we had like 6 in the studio at most, and all the most wind teachers were studio players who came in and taught.
Okay.
They weren't. They didn't teach other classes.
So because you started with him in high school,
Mm-hmm.
was it just assumed you were going to keep going with him?
That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
That was my choice.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then when, like, at what point did he start encouraging you to take auditions, or did those was he just?
Everybody just did it. He didn't. Everybody was doing it. I was like, he said, Seth and I were. Seth was a little ahead of me in school, but we would all take auditions. And David Sogg, who used to play here, was a grad student when I was a freshman. I played a lot with him, and they were all taking auditions. So just kind of, you didn't even talk about it really with him, other than, he just was like, he knew you were all taking them.
So it's like,
yeah,
you won, you lost, fine. Here, what did you prep? Did you prepare for your lesson?
Yeah, as long as like, oh God, if you did a recital, which you had to do a couple of recitals, and then the next lesson after the recital was brutal because he'd give you like 10 really hard etudes. Okay, let's get back to work now that the fun's over.
Now that the fun's over.
Let's get back to work.
Oh man.
My tempo, my friend. And he'd do that, and he was really hysterical.
Did he play in lessons?
Huh?
Did he play in lessons?
No.
No,
he had. I don't think he was fond of performing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we went to the studio, and he said the studio work. He goes, it was, 30 seconds of terror followed by 10 hours of boredom. Basically, is how he put that.
Did he do a lot of reed work with you guys? Was it like
Well, the reed thing's interesting. This goes back a way. This is all one big circle with me. I was thinking about this when you gave me it goes back to the machine shop because my father made all my reed tools, basically. What happened was, before Hertzberg, before I got too much of, my dad made me some shapers when I was, so he copied my other teacher's stuff. He'd just take it to the shop and copy it. And like when we used to, like my dad's shop, back in those days, we used slide rules. If you even know what that is.
Yes.
It's a pre-calculator. It's a thing like this you do math with.
Okay.
I used to be really good with a slide rule. I don't know which ends up now. Yeah. And we didn't have computers, so everything was done with like dial indicators on a surface plate to measure the thickness of the metal. So my dad, really quick, he worked down in California in the 60s when they farmed out all the work for the space program. So those shops like I was hanging, they were making parts for the rockets and stuff that went to the moon back when I was a little kid. So that was, I grew up around that. That was a big deal in my young life. Because by the time I went to the moon, I was like, old enough to know what was going on.
So you went to the moon and you're like, that was in my shop.
Yeah, that stuff was in, they made, I made parts for that thing, And for Grumman or whatever, or McDonnell Douglas. And, and they used to test the engines at the airport by my house so you could see the flames and everything. So that was pretty fun, but Mr. Hertzberg had this profiling machine, which you use profiling, you contour the cane to make a reed with. And you take a piece of cane it's all bark on the top. And you scrape the bark and get the first scrape on contour. And he asked my dad, he said, it's not working right. Can you take a look at it? Because And my dad's like, He took it home and he took it to the shop and he comes home and he goes, that thing's a piece of crap. I can't fix it. So I made you a new one. And Hertzberg was like, whoa. And he made a new one. Because he said, I can't fix that one. It's a piece of crap. It's so out of whack. I can't fix it.
Yeah.
So they made machines for a while together, but then they kind of had a falling out. And, Hertzberg he sold a bunch of the ones that he made later off that that design. I have the original prototype one. It's the one I use. It's, you know.
Wow.
And it's just you know, and the thing is, there's no magic beans with reeds. You know, these profilers, they were great. They're great. And the ones Norman made later on and sold were great. But it doesn't still make the cane any better. You know, but it does alleviate some of the process. But so my dad was making those reed machines for a while and everything. Because so we'd cast them in sand casting and all these old school ways of doing it.
Yeah, right next to the stuff that was going to the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was probably a little after that because Apollo died out in 1972.
Okay.
Yeah, because my dad ended up going to Cal State Long Beach to work, and I don't know what his job was, but he was in a machine shop all day. So I was like, okay, it's a different shop, and I go over there, but but that's how the reed things came about.
And you still have the prototype.
Yeah, I still have mine, and it's got my name on it actually. It's like, wow, but yeah.
That's, it's kind of like you realize you're going through your collection and you have something from your teacher that you just you start to like.
Yeah. But you have to. I think the thing is, like, Jim's dad made the prototypes for this shape or these profiles, all the stuff that people around the world and mostly in the U.S. but around the world use bassoonists around the world use what his dad made.
Oh, okay, yes, you're right. My brain had not.
My dad, and they would talk about like the cam, which is where the shape is that you're copying. Then Hertzberg would say, I want this, I want that, and Dad would take reeds and measure it and transfer it to the metal because he could. And so that's how those came. And the patterns are really nice, but you can't make a finished reed on a profiler though. No matter, I try every couple of years. I'm going to figure it out. They suck if they're that thin when they're brand new.
Okay.
But.
For example, our the second bassoon, Nicholas Nelson, different generation, different place really uses the Hertzberg shape.
Yeah.
Okay, so it goes. It's a two-way street now. It's like, yes, he was your teacher and you were part of his studio, but also because of you and your dad and the fact that your dad, like, all practical. He sounds like all practical people I know who's just like, well, this thing is a piece of junk, therefore I have improved it.
He was an extreme perfectionist and very
engineer,
demanding.
Human
being. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. But he was really good at that stuff. Yeah. And their tolerance was 1,000th of an inch. It was the tolerance that the NASA projects were. So he transferred that thing. And he tried to do woodworking and he couldn't do it. Because you can't do, it's like, Dad, come on, man, it's carpentry, big deal. No, those boards are, it's like, it's a piece of wood and you ain't going to make it happen. He was so stubborn about it,
But like once you have seen perfection, it's like how can you
metal you can do that with.
Yeah.
A hunk of aluminum you can do that with, but you can't do that with board.
So Hertzberg's legacy, because he took you on as a student, because like this unintended consequence.
Yeah, this he had no idea. He had no idea. Yeah, and this all just kind of, I was thinking about, it's just kind of a big circle for me. And I think I wish I would have mechanized my machine, had Dad mechanize it when he was still around. But it's okay, because I don't have delusions of mass producing reeds or anything. I'm not that into that.
And there's something, I think you're right though. Like, there's no magic bean for reeds.
Or no, for anything.
You have
to practice and make reeds.
The process is part of what makes it. It's like when you've made it yourself and you had to make it yourself. Yeah. Like, why not, right?
Because what were you going to say about Nick? I'm sorry.
No, just about the shape that he uses.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because I've seen Hertzberg shape, and I put my reed on, and we put them next to each other. Nick's predecessor bought one. I go, yeah, the shape's right, but it's wider. Like the shaper was wider, a little bit wider, and I go, so it's the Hertzberg, it's the shape, but the width is different. I've seen that happen on a reed. Because I have I did buy a shaper from Hertzberg. Dad didn't make that one, and it says Hertzberg Projects on it. So it's like I bought it from him, and when I was in New York, and it's a little, and the other, some of them are a little wider that they sell. The shape is the contour. Yeah. But the width is different.
And that changes things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But.
So that's okay. So
Maybe he changed his mind after I bought mine. I have no idea. I don't know.
But if it's working for you, then like why?
Yeah.
Why change
I've
it?
always used it. Yeah.
So so if Hertzberg didn't like to play in lessons or perform in front of his students,
That's what I understand. I heard him play in public once.
okay,
The Spore Nonette.
okay,
It's a faculty thing at USC.
Yeah.
That was it. I heard some recordings when he was in the LA Chamber Orchestra.
okay,
But that's
it.
But he got really nervous.
That's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
So did you have somebody else that you were listening to specifically for orchestra stuff, or was that kind of just like?
Well, the LA Phil, there's a guy, David Breidenthal, was their principal, and I took lessons from him on and off, and he taught at the Music Academy of the West when I went there.
Yeah.
In the summers in college, and so I listened to him a lot.
And what did he?
He was
like?
polar opposite.
Oh yeah.
Polar opposite. Yeah.
Did he do excerpts with you?
Yeah, we did excerpts and solos and stuff, whatever you wanted to do. He was polar opposite.
Okay, so you wouldn't call him old school at all. He was.
No. And the funny thing was, because he played, when he joined the Philharmonic, and he joined with Frederick Moritz, was the principal, and I guess they were co-principals when he was young. He got in there really young. But Fred Moritz was another old German. And he said, he wouldn't let us have water on stage, so we'd always keep it in our coat pocket and Slocart reeds because he wouldn't let you bring water on stage. Yeah, he was one of them. Yeah, and Dave was the total opposite. He was just Mr. California,
Sunshine and Mozart.
Moonbeam, yeah, Mr. Yeah.
Do you still think of any of these people when you're looking at solos coming up? Like, do you?
Well, funny, we did the Dumbarton Notes.
Yeah.
And I always go back and listen to the LA Chamber Orchestra do that because it sounded so good. And, it's a tough piece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I listen to that. So I do pull stuff up every once in a while.
But otherwise, you say you love the process. So like, what's your process then? Like we've got, like I said, everything has a bassoon solo. So
yeah.
Trying to look.
Are you more like, I need you get focused on maybe getting the right read for the job, or are you more like, I need to practice a certain way to feel comfortable?
How to practice it so I feel comfortable, and then you don't always succeed. Trust me. I'm doing better now than I had for a long time. I had things kind of fell apart from, I just really, and I feel like I'm getting back to normal. How I feel about playing. Like I don't get nervous anymore, but the anxiety's going down.
Oh, nice.
Performance anxiety, they call it. I kind of had a period of that.
Yeah.
It doesn't get easier as you get older.
No.
I can tell you young whippersnappers. No, it doesn't get easier as you get older. Unfortunately, it doesn't. It gets harder in some way. And keeping up with these young guys that are so much technically ridiculously better.
That's half the problem. Is you think I've got how many years of experience?
Yeah, I know,
right?
but
someone comes along and they sound like a damn it, like that's
not.
not
and that's the way it works. Though that's what it's supposed to be. But you can either bury your head or just work. And I just try to work.
There's
try to do the best, but just be me. Do the best I can do, and I can't do everything. To approach something like, okay, what do I really have to work on in this? What's going to be the hard thing? What are the hurdles here?
So when you're looking ahead to like Mozart Sinfonia Concertante, like what are the hurdles in the Mozart?
E flat major.
Okay.
There's some awkward slurs in that key. So especially the thirds and the finger. It's just awkward. And I've been looking at it and. Little arpeggio things, fine, but the fingerings aren't necessarily really smooth from note to note. That's what I'm thinking. That's actually, like yesterday I was just working out those, practice your thirds and fourths and stuff.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And now that has nothing to do with the music of the piece, but you got to get the nuts and bolts right. Like one thing you said, you can put all the sprinkles on the cake you want, but if the cake's no good, then it sucks. you know, and you got to get that cake right. You got to bake it. And I tell my students, you got to pour it in the pot and let it stew. You know, you got to let it cook for a while. Don't try to play it fast. Don't try to play it finished. You got to let things cook for a while. Like the Barber violins, which are wicked hard. Oh my God, that third one. You know, I was practicing that last summer, but I felt great. You know, it just like came out really good. You know, but it took a long time. Yeah, I said, I'm going to learn this in 2 weeks. Yeah. No, so that just for me was a real. It made me feel so good for myself. Not like oh wow, yeah, you know.
But isn't that the point? Like, isn't that the whole goal? It's like here's this thing. Here's this thing that is not nearly as important as the solo. No one's gonna hear it. The only people who are gonna know whether I did it is probably me and the people like right around me.
Right.
And yet you have to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise something like people might not be able to say something's wrong, but it won't be exactly right. And the satisfaction comes in from knowing that it was exactly right, that you did no harm to anybody around you.
I did no harm.
That's like the page turner mentality. It's like, I'm up here. I can't. I
used to turn pages a lot for piano players. Yeah, that's the most nerve-wracking job on the planet.
It's the worst. It's the worst musical job on the planet. The whole
my kid's mom was a piano player.
Oh, you turned so many pages. Oh my God.
She's a show player and accompanist and stuff.
When people at school found out that I played piano, the number of recitals, I'm like, hey, you can turn pages, right? It's like, or I could watch you from the audience. But okay, the whole letting it stew thing, that is it is so hard to translate that for younger students, but it's so important because the brain and your hands have to have time to catch up to each other. There's no way around it. Like, you cannot start at speed and expect it's going to happen. You have to build the muscle memory up, and you have to do it slowly, and then you'll be amazed at how well things will feel down the road. But you have to trust that, like, by letting it rest and just like stew, how much better it's going to be every time you come back to it.
Exactly.
And was that like?
And you got to get it so, like I tell my students, it goes right at first. It goes from the page to here to here. You want it to go from here to here. You got to cut out from the page to your head to your hands. It's got to go from the page to your hands. Your head's got to get out of there.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Yeah. How would you say, you said you work through it, like performing anxiety, and you're feeling better and better. Is it just the process at the end of the day that helps you get through it? Okay.
I kind of went back to basics.
Nice.
And really started drawing that. I think I felt like I got astray of my original, my younger stuff. So.
I think a lot of listeners are wondering, they're not performers or musicians. Like, what is going through your head when you're performing something like Sinfonia? You've got these arpeggios. As you're working on it, you're saying, okay, these awkward, I need to think of my fingers. When you get to the point of performing, do you have a kind of, you're still thinking every time you see the bar, like, I need to think about these things?
You try to get it so it's just, you don't have to think too much. But, and hopefully your equipment is comfortable enough you can just be and relax.
Do you ever think in like kind of imagery or any kind of?
I always see things in cartoons, like with solos and stuff. Yeah. I make up little stories in my head and stuff, and sometimes I think I know I'll play something a certain way, and the scholars just, oh God, that's not how you do it, But it's like I had this image and. I figured, hey, it's public. I can do what I want, within reason. Sometimes I go way out of bounds, but especially at home, you try to push it and say, okay, that's going, okay, yeah, and you talk about like when you're playing a piece, like you got to figure out what fingerings you're going to use. Because bassoon, we got several different fingerings for several notes. Like you can play the note this way, that way, figure that out. And sometimes, I used to try. sometimes short fingerings are good, but if your hands don't want to go to them, forget it. You know, give it a try, and just go to what your hands go to.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the fake fingerings, I've gotten burned by trying to do that, where I should have just stayed with the way I did it before.
That fluidity is so important. I think even getting the brain out of it's so important.
Yeah.
Anytime you try something new, I don't know about you guys. Every time I try something new, it's like if I do well, if I stop thinking, and the moment I have to think about is when everything just completely falls apart.
There's no time.
Yeah.
Would you if we go back to the lettuce range for solos, and then especially because Mozart Sinfonia Concert Talk for winds, it's you, Sandy, Carm, and Brett.
Right.
And this is actually very similar to what it's like in orchestra. Unfortunately, no Maria in this situation, but you're in the center and you're projecting out. Are you thinking any differently than you traditionally do between playing as principal wind or play louder? Okay.
Play out more.
Yeah.
And in this piece, we're kind of paired, horn and bassoon and flute and clarinet. Like the flute and the oboe and clarinet. The oboe and the clarinet, and then the horn and the bassoon are kind of paired. It's like two couples in a way. They have the way more technical parts than the bassoon and the horn. But like the horn and bassoon is a great match to each other because we blend so well in the orchestra and everything. But yeah, you just gotta, don't play too soft when you're doing something like that.
How about when you're in the section? Is there because bassoon has so many different functions within the orchestra, right? Like you have your wind function, but then you're also with the low strings really often, or sometimes you're with the lower brass. Like how are you handling that on a case by case basis?
Well, playing with the strings is fun. The solo sometimes you call it solo piano, which is basically loud.
Yeah.
And you got to figure that out. What solos really need to be how soft. If you're talking about a solo, because I tend sometimes not to play loud enough. And I know Anchors got on me once because I couldn't get it any louder, and it's like, get this, you got the whole string section playing. Maybe a little, throw me a bone, but that's hard, and that was, and then when you play with the brass, it's fun, just know who you're playing with, and the low strings are always fun to play with, beginning of Marriage Figaro Overture, we're playing with the cellos and the violins, so you listen to the violins, basically, or the violin, all the strings are playing mostly, So, but you got a lot of stuff with the violins sometimes. Haydn symphonies, Mozart.
So you're constantly like listening across and adjusting. Okay.
Yeah, figure out who you're with.
Nice. Do you enjoy? I know you love the process, but have there been pieces where you finish and it's not just the satisfaction of I did no harm, or like that went really well, or is it? Are there composers you really look forward to?
Well, there's so many good composers, the Hebrides is one of my favorite pieces.
Yeah.
Just I'm so glad. I love that. I've always loved that since I was a little kid. That was one of my first musical memories, is the Hebrides Overture. So I love that piece, and it's challenging. It's really not easy at all. But I love that piece and that kind of music. I like the mids. I like playing when we used to do. We've done the incidental music with actors and stuff, the Midsummer Night's Dream. That was a lot of fun. We did Fidelio once, like a wind version. That was really fun. Things like that. I come and go. You want to know what pieces I like the most?
I'm just curious because it's what's asked of
it's all to do with the sound of the orchestra. Well, I listen to a lot of Baroque music. A lot of that's just string stuff, but I like that when I'm doing stuff. I'll put that on, like Handel Concerto Grossos and stuff. I love the style and sound, and the opera's coming next week from the English Chamber Orchestra doing Hercules next Friday. Oh, I got it. I went last. Did you go last year?
No, I wanted to, but I couldn't go. Okay.
Yeah, it was really fun. I liked it. I'm going next week. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. That kind of singing with the countertenors and everything. We did that once at Southern Cal. We did the Messiah, and because the Messiah right now. Yeah, no, we did it with countertenors and stuff, like Baroque style. Although we played on modern instruments, so I played Dulcian when I was at college, but we did it in that style, which is a whole different Messiah than what you used to hear. That's all I'm saying, you know. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and that hooked me then.
So you're almost like, I don't need to be playing if it's the style of music that I...
Yeah, a lot of it's the style. You know, like my favorite movement of the Symphonie Fantastique is the one we don't play with the, you know, it wasn't the waltz.
Do you not play in the waltz?
No. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
You don't play during the ball?
No.
That's bizarre.
And I love that piece in general, but my favorite movement is the one we don't play.
You're just
I just
waiting
love
for
that. I just love that. I just love it.
There's a great moment in Saint Song 3 where the basses don't play and it's just the upper strings over top of the organ, and it's the most gorgeous thing ever, and it's like 32 bars where we just get to sit.
Yeah, it's just magical. Yeah. So.
Okay. Do you think... Okay, so I'm going to do a hard left, but do you think your love of the process is part of the reason why you are a cyclist? Because of how much care and maintenance and love of your bike?
Yeah, I ran into a friend from junior high a few years back, and we keep in a little bit of touch. And I don't know anybody really from my upbringing except her and one other friend that found me in the last few years. And she said, yeah, I remember when we were in junior high and high school together, you know, you played the bassoon and you ran. I was a runner. I ran cross country and track.
Okay.
I hated track. It's so short. And I did a little marathoning when I was in like 20, and then I got in the other, and so now you're playing the bassoon and riding a bike. What's new? What's new with you? You know, because I can't run anymore. I can't pick my legs up like that. Because I started riding a bike to get in shape to run. Okay. And I never got off the bike. And the bike, yeah, I love the process. The bike's just fun. I'm an adventure rider. I've done a ton of grinders, and grinders are like 100K to 100 miles. I've done a couple 150s. And some guys who do 200 and 300, so, you know, they're real fast and good, and I'm always like last. I've gotten back where the parking lot's empty, but I had a great time. Yeah. So I don't care. And it's all on off-road. It's all dirt and gravel. Because there's not many cars, and you find neat stuff. And like one weekend I rode across from Kansas to South Dakota across Nebraska out by the Sandhills. That was really fun, one Labor Day weekend. That was my first state. And then the next summer I did South Dakota over a weekend. And then year before last, I did North Dakota. And I didn't know they grew sunflowers in South Dakota. I mean, they're like taller than me and they're like this big. It was really cool. And I rode up, but then I did North Dakota, ended up at the Peace Garden at the Manitoba border. That was really fun. And you find neat stuff, and you find interesting, nasty little roads. Yeah. You know, mountain biking's fun, but I'm not any good at it, and you get hurt. I tried doing it for a while, and I kept jacking up my wrists and stuff. And I was like, you know, I didn't break anything yet. You know, I got hit in the head real good. Cut my head a few times. But it's like, I don't, you know, it's a little, I don't mind the technical stuff, but the downhilling and stuff, I'm not into. And so I found this, and it's like, a country player, my other half, she said, you know, I've known you a long time, and you always seem so landlocked here in Nebraska because of your upbringing, growing up in California, because we spent a lot of time in the desert, the mountains, and I had a sailboat in the ocean, you know, and stuff, and you come to Nebraska, which is, if I'm not mistaken, the most landlocked place in the world, technically. She said, and then you found the bicycle, and it's like you found your ocean. And you're so happy and every time I'd say, how was it? You go, oh, it's great, I'll get out there. You just go off, and, you know, I find neat stuff. You just find it. I was riding down, I think it was North Dakota, and all these metal crosses and stuff in the cemetery on this road. So, okay, we're back and Karen's my car. She's my ride when I'm out doing this. And she goes and does, her family's from up in that area. So she's doing genealogy and, you know, went to the Capitol and stuff. And she finds stuff to do. She doesn't mind doing this. And we get back and we're watching the TV, and they show the cemetery on the TV, and it's on the show about Germans from Russia. Her mom is a German from Russia. And she goes, oh my, I go, that's the cemetery. She goes, that's my mom's hometown they're showing. Or, you know, my grandma's hometown. I guess it was. She's like her grandma, like my grandmas are from the old country.
Yeah.
And so I said, where was that cemetery? And I said, oh, it's right here on the map here. And she goes, I'm going there tomorrow. Because it was a particular kind of cross, like Celtic crosses are unusual. But these were metal. It's just fun, fun. You find fun stuff though. The whole point is the adventure of it all.
Right. And that tracks now because it's like, it's not about playing a specific piece. It's not about acing a recital. It's like, it's the process. It's you enjoy every single second of putting it together.
Yeah, when I was younger, it might have been more pointed, but now that I'm older, I just like the whole picture, the whole thing.
Do you have
intermixes?
Yeah. Do you have like a bucket list ride, or do you just keep a bucket list going for like, here's what I want to try? Like,
riding?
Yeah.
I'm not in great shape right now. I'd love to ride in Tierra del Fuego because we were down there a few years ago and we were four-wheeling on these roads, and they were but they are so steep. I don't know. Yeah. That would be fun, and they were so steep, and you open up the window to look out the Jeep, and I hate ledges, but that would be fun.
Okay. Mostly you just want the time.
Yeah, I just I hope to do Kansas this spring. That's my next one. And what I do is I just I gotta get those maps with all the roads and make up a route. And every once in a while a road's not there or something's washed out. But usually then you come up with a route.
Right.
And
it's kind of also great that you're not even doing pre-selected routes. It's like, no, that's part of it. So
I make it up. I make a map before I go. So I gotta, but like when I hit the Sandhills in Nebraska, I had these roads picked out, and they were like freaking beaches. And I go, I'm never going to get across the street, this state at 2 miles an hour.
Right.
And fishtailing all over the place. So I go, I have to make an audible here and find a different road to ride.
Yeah. Is there what do you eat while you ride? Because fueling and long distance stuff, I know is a
well, I got a big old the backpack, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
I eat a lot of apples, pickles, beef jerky.
Mm-hmm.
I used to eat the beans, but I'm not supposed to eat that much sugar. But I still sneak the sport beans and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Crackers.
Awesome.
Slam a Coke every once in a while. A real Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you need the calories. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just tastes great. Sometimes a Coke is perfect. Yeah.
Jim, this has been awesome.
Okay.
I know we're close. We are exactly at the end of our time. So we have one last question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I'm curious if you've given what happened with clarinet and saxophone. But you're on stage. You got 30 minutes, and there's no consequences for trying anything. So you could try any instrument, whatever you want.
Oh.
What are you trying?
What instrument I would want to try?
Or conduct.
I tried a lot. I can't. The only thing I can conduct is electricity. Trust me. And I've proven that numerous times. I've shocked myself so many times.
But nobody else, not a lot of people can conduct electricity without shocking.
Oh, yeah, I know. But that's the only thing I can conduct. I know. My conducting teacher in college, he took the music stand, Hans Beer, old German. And he said, so you didn't come too low? And he goes, if they'd met me, I'd have razor blades across this. They won't let me. I don't know what instrument. I mean, I tried a lot when I was young. I've never really tried a violin, but,
there's a lot of them on stage.
Or a harp. But, yeah, I tried all the wood ones. I've blown a flute. And, I play some penny whistle, but that's like, anybody play that. Yeah, I pick it up.
Beg to differ. Yeah.
Yeah, I do that. I play some whistle, but, but.
So maybe a violin or harp.
Yeah.
Just for kicks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if I had to, it'd be nice to play an instrument where you didn't have to make reeds.
You definitely do not have to do that with either.
You're a slave, yeah. You're a slave. But, but the mechanics seem simpler, but to be like a saxophone, the mechanics are simpler than a bassoon, so you pick it up quicker. But to be good at any of them takes all the same.
Yeah. That's why it's about the process.
There's nothing that's easy. in that sense. Yeah.
It's true. And I think it's a great place to call it. Jim, thank you very much.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope you guys had a good time.
Yeah.
Did I answer his question?
Yeah.
Basically, he was just a drill. Work hard. That was his real.
I'm curious how many people think there's like a magic answer. It's like, oh, he
know.
had to do this
I tell all my kids, all the students. I go. They ask me about him. I go. It was just drill. Work hard and don't. And it wasn't like I said. The recitals. Okay, fun's over. Let's get back to work. That concept.
Yeah.